Congress is a culmination of about a month and a half of true student collaboration. The students pick an issue that they feel that the United States needs to pay more attention to. They research the issue, they work with their classmates on peer editing and developing a bill, and within the government rooms, they debate and look at the bills, and then we come here. This is the US Senate, and in the other classrooms around, it's the House of Representatives where they're going through the committee process. We do every single step like real Congress, so at the end of the day, all 40 or 50 bills that are in all the individual committees come down to just a handful, and they learn the process of how a bill becomes a law.
The floor is now open to debate if anyone else has questions.
This is a project that we've had at Western for several years. In fact, I remember when it was developed when I was a teacher here back in the early 2000s. And from the beginning, it really sought to give students an authentic experience, not only in terms of researching, developing, presenting, and advocating for a piece of legislation, but also experience where they worked with every other senior in their class. And I think that's one of the things that's most important about this. Not only does it have an authentic element of students researching and presenting, but because they work with every peer in the graduating class, they hear so many different views and opinions. That's such an authentic civic engagement activity. We're really proud of the work that our teachers do to keep this tradition going.
Okay, the next bill we're going to be talking about is Urban Environmental Act. This is Mason and Tobin's bill.
The process really started when we came back from Christmas and the holiday break, and we've pretty much really the past 3 weeks has been nonstop this. We've filtered in content, but this is one of those project-based learning experiences where they're able to really learn a lot of the process and the procedure of Congress by doing it themselves.
It's definitely a lot easier to go through it than it is to kind of read about it.
You can sit in the classroom and learn this in a textbook, but really being a part of this process, and I'm not going to forget it. I'm learning intuitively how all this works, so I think it's really going to help me.
One of the things I think is important is that we use actually the structure of our own government in terms of having both parties represented, both houses, the committee process, and that pushes students to not only find something they're interested in and to research it, but to also to consider the other side of the issue. And so the emphasis is really on critical thinking, on interrogating their sources, on looking to and listening to the other sides and weighing those when they write their bill so that others will hear it. And I think that's so important, especially right now when we hear so much about the lack of civil discourse and the inability of people with different opinions to hear each other. This activity is designed to encourage collaboration, compromise, and consensus building.
I've learned a lot about the legislative process, about how complex it is to get legislation through subcommittees, committees, different branches of government. And it's starting to make a lot more sense why a lot of political action takes a very long time, because there are so many different steps involved and so many people that it has to pass through, and there are a lot of places where it can get delayed.
It takes a lot of work to get a bill passed. The amount of legislative hoops that they have to jump through just to get it out on the Senate floor alone is really quite impressive. That and the amount of work and effort and research that goes into getting a bill ready for being introduced on the House or Senate floor really takes some dedication and hard work.
I've learned a lot about how things that seem obvious to one person could be completely different to another. We each have to represent a state, so some of the bills that I might personally agree with, I realize that goes directly against the interests of my state, and so I've had to vote against or for bills that, that I personally would benefit from, but realizing that there are all these different perspectives from different areas of the country where a bill that might help someone or help everyone that I know would negatively affect them. And so it gives a bit of weight to the give and take that is, all of politics.
This actually has been an opportunity to really show a time for me to reevaluate what I value and what I want my representative to value. I'm on the education committee, and actually just by pure chance and just kind of what I was advocating for my bill, I was assigned as a senator from Virginia, a hypothetical senator from Virginia. So, I've had to learn about how the education system works, even more so than I already knew. And so just being a student coming out of this and really learning what I value in a candidate.
The chair will now recognize the majority leader.
I think it's a really good representation of what our future is. I think our generation is emphasizing, women empowerment and supporting women and getting them in these leadership roles and giving them more of the opportunity and confidence to take roles like these.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that's majority.
So I think I will really be able to take kind of the leadership role that I learned from this in order to use this knowledge and kind of having a lot of responsibility and use that in my future years at college.
This process is definitely educating me on the legislative process. It makes me feel like I have the responsibility to be a more active voter and have a say in what happens in my country.